Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all to the 22nd edition of this webinar by UMANG. It's aptly named as Apna Time Aayega, as it would be hosted by young Turks and would be attended by many of our senior successful colleagues. Just a few words about UMANG. So, UMANG is an initiative by the doctors, for the doctors, and from the doctors to help themselves support and prioritize and improve their quality of life. It was started as a motive of empowering medicos who are healers with zeal and enthusiasm. It can be considered as a movement or as a space for rejuvenation, a space to interact, to express ideas, to share ideas, and meet those who can inspire you or make you feel joyous and radiant. So this is our 22nd edition, and I would urge all of you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All the previous webinars are also available there. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my co-host. So my co-host is also a fellow young Turk. He is Dr. Siddhesh Iyer, who is an obstetrician and gynecologist, a laparoscopic surgeon, who is director at Saukhyam Hospital, Complete Women Healthcare in Borivali, Mumbai. He also teaches DNB students at the BDBA Municipal Corporation in Kandivali and has been an ex-assistant professor at Cooper and JJ Group of Hospitals. So, Dr. Siddharth, I welcome you to the 22nd edition.
Thank you, Dr. Taran. It is a great honor to be on this platform. And without much ado, I think I would like to introduce our speakers. Our esteemed speakers are very well known in their field, and I would like to give a brief intro about them. Our first speaker will be Dr. Abha Nagral. Madam is a Director Gastroenterologist, Jaslok Hospital and Research Center. She's a Senior Consultant Gastroenterologist at Apollo Hospital, Navi Mumbai, with special interest in hepatology, both adult and pediatric. She has done her training, UG, PG, and gastroenterology. She is an alumnus all through from KM Hospital, Mumbai, and has done hepatology and liver transplant fellowship from Mayo Clinic, USA, and the Royal Free Hospital, UK. She is the founding trustee of Children's Liver Foundation, NGO, which helps families of children with liver disorders. Chairperson of the South Asia Association for Study of Liver Diseases and Women's Forum. Co-chairperson of the Liver Transplant Zonal Committee. Past president, secretary, and secretary of Maharashtra chapter of Indian Society of Gastroenterology, with numerous publications to her name. She's an author of numerous textbooks, and she's a go-to when it comes to gastroenterology. She's received the Healthcare Pinnacle Award sponsored by Metropolis recently on 3rd September 2022 for therapeutic endoscopy. I welcome you, madam. Our second speaker will be Dr. Unmesh Takalkar, another person who has such a big accolade to his name that I think I will fall short reading the CV. Sir is the director of Sigma Group of Hospitals, chief medical director and consultant at Aurangabad. He has over 40,000 surgeries of general and oncology, oncosurgeries performed, who has trained more than 50 postgraduate students in surgery, a lot of endoscopic procedures, numerous awards and publications to his name. Sir has been a fellow of the Indian Society of Gastroenterology and Endoscopy, fellow of the Union of International Cancer Control, fellow of the Society of Alimentary Tract. So many fellowships and so many memberships to sir's name. Sir, we welcome you on board.
Thank you.
Our third speaker today is Dr. Ghanshyam Dharak.
नाही 8ला येते उद्या लवकर येईल पण उद्या दिवसाच येईल.
Sorry, I have muted everyone. So, Dr. Siddhesh, you'll have to unmute yourself and talk because there was a lot of noise coming. So I muted everyone. You please unmute yourself.
Am I audible now? Yes. So, sir is someone who has started his own OPD and then joined critical care and has done 14 years of night duty continuously with someone who has no family background or history of people having somebody in the family with a backing into the medical field. Someone who started his own setup in 2016 with 5 partners having an ICU and a cath lab, which was run only till 18 months, and now has his own 25-bedded nursing home, including an 8-bedded ICU. I welcome Dr. Ghanshyam. Sir, welcome on board.
Good evening. Good evening, sir.
Over to you, Taran.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Siddesh. And I'm Dr. Taran Kulkarni. I'm a pulmonologist at Jupiter Hospital, Thane. So we would just get into the questions. First of all, thank you for such a good response. We have been having so many questions even before the webinar even started. So we'll just dive right into the first question. So my first question is for Dr. Ghanshyam sir and Dr. Abha ma'am. So every person, every student who actually passes his postgraduate examination has one question on his mind कि अभी specialist तो बन गए. So what next? That is always something everyone wonders. So we wanted to know from you, how did you make the choice at the onset of your medical careers in terms of, do you want to join private or do you want to join government? So first we'll take that and then we'll go to the second part of the question. So Dr. Abha ma'am.
Yeah, thanks, Taran. Pleasure to be here, and thanks to the UMANG team. So basically, as I was introduced, I was at KEM throughout. I had, once you are in a hospital for more than 10, 12 years, you are attracted and you want to be just there. And that's what I wanted to do. I got a lecturer's post after I cleared my gastro exam. And but there was one thing I realized. We had Dr. S.R. Naik, who was there and who was actually the one who got me interested in gastroenterology. He came from PGI Chandigarh. And that is the time I realized that, we typically people from KEM think that they are at the best place and nothing can be better than that and they know it all. But interacting with him, I realized that it was not enough. So I thought I should go abroad. And I was holding the lecturer's post. I got a scholarship from the UK High Commission to go there to train in hepatology and liver transplant. There was no liver transplant happening in India at that time. But I had to quit my lecturer's post. So had I not got this scholarship, I would have probably continued in KEM. And that was my first choice, to be in the place which I was so familiar with. There's a lot of thing about being familiar with a place and wanting to stay in that place. But as luck would have it, I got the scholarship and I left. And then I wouldn't get the leave for 1.5 years that I did my fellowship abroad for. So I had to come back and take up a pool officer job. Now, this is a job I want to talk to you about, which mostly people in the north are very familiar with, but people here are not so familiar with. It is offered by the CSIR and it is exactly for the kind of people who are between their PG, deciding what they want to do, want to get some experience before they start practice, which I think they should. You should not jump into practice the moment you're out of your exam. So this job gives a fairly decent salary and is a good in-between, especially because not everybody manages to get a lecturer's post in a government setup. So I did that pool job when I came back because I had no lecturer's post left anymore. And then, of course, after that, there was no choice but to go in for private practice so that's how I landed up in doing practice. And I don't think I regret that decision.
That is actually very relatable. The sort of comfort that we get in a training institute because we know all the protocols, and then when you land up into a different place, the protocols change, and the sort of the patients that you look at, your outlook also changes. So, Dr. Ghanshyam sir, how did you make the choice for the government versus private?
See, I personally feel joining a government job or jumping in a private practice depends on where you are going to go and practice. Basically, people living in metro cities like Mumbai or Pune, they may opt for a government job initially and then probably go in a private practice. But in our setup, in my city, we don't have any choice to join a government job. because no good opportunity for government job. Plus, in small cities, if you keep on doing government job, probably you won't be getting your own identity in the city, and which is very important for a rest of life as a doctor to practice in small city like Latur. So I opted for joining a private practice only. I never thought of joining government job.
Okay. Okay. So once we are out of that training period, and even after, completing our senior residency, our lecturer post, now coming to just private practice. So leaving the government sector out, just coming to private practice, there is always a choice that a doctor faces, whether he should go freelancing or he should be a full-timer at a private hospital. So what is the things that our listeners should actually consider while making that choice? Dr. Abha ma'am?
Whether to go freelancing or working at a private hospital.
As a full-time, yeah.
Yeah, so see, again, when we passed out, there was no full-time concept in private practice. This is a new concept which has come with the corporate hospitals who are insisting on full-time. I think there was only one hospital, Hinduja, which had a full-time model. Most other private hospitals did not have a full-time model. So there was no choice but to be in a hospital. And since it was what we refer to as fee for service, which means you get what you work for, most people thought that it was not adequate to be in one hospital and would then get attached to a couple of hospitals uh, next to each other. But I think in today's day and age, it's a good idea to be a full-time, because you do not have the stress and headache of getting patients. The hospital does it for you. And I think that's a huge, I would say, benefit, because especially if you want to do straight, clean practice, it's not easy to establish yourself on your own with that kind of practice. So I think in your beginning years, when people need to get to know you, a full-time practice will facilitate you getting patients. They are coming to the hospital. They will also ensure that you are introduced to doctors in the nearby areas. So the so-called marketing is done by the hospital. It's not the onus on you to do all that. So I think full-time is a good idea. I regret not doing that because we didn't have that option, and now it's, I think, too late in the day. But it has its own downsides also. But I think for starters, good idea to be in a full-time place. It also, I think, if you look at it purely from the patient perspective, it's good to be in one place. You're there, you're available. You can see the patient twice a day. Again, something which I regret I can't do. But I think from the patient perspective also, a full-time doctor, I think, would be a better idea.
Okay. There's also
I think, madam, the travel time that it saves you from running from one hospital to the other is
yes, absolutely. And not being able to do justice, so you have a very sick patient whom you should ideally be seeing once more in the evening. You're not able to do that. So I think it's something I feel guilty about, and I'm kind of being very candid about it and saying that those are the advantages. Of course, there are disadvantages. You are at the mercy of the management. There is, certain pressure, numbers, revenue, all that is there, Excel sheets. But so I think it's a balance. But as long as you are not too, I would put in inverted commas, greedy, and expecting a big fat package from the hospital, you will not be bothered. It's only when you start expecting too much that then the management start expecting you to get too much. So I think it's a give and take, and you need to strike the right balance.
Ghanshyam sir, the same question. In private sector, full-timer versus freelancing, your take?
Sir, you're on mute.
Sir, you're on mute.
Hello. Now I am audible. Hello.
Yes, you are audible. So please go on, sir.
I agree with madam. It it makes a lot of difference. You are working as a full-timer when you are giving services to your patient. As madam said, you would like to take care of your patient round the clock in a day, again and again. So freelancing concept was not there at all at my time in Latur at least. In fact, today also in a small city, if you are a freelancer, it is considered as a you don't have your own identity. So I prefer in people working in a small cities, they should opt for a full-timer job only. I mean, own private practice and doing it for full time.
Sir, I would like to extend this question as to your own setup or doing a job in somebody's setup. What is your take on that?
I feel we should go for our own setup. Doing job in somebody's setup in small cities, it's a bit difficult part because
I think sir lost connectivity. I think we can take the next question. Dr. Takalkar, I would like to take this opportunity to ask you this question. Well, in early years of practice, there's always this desire about getting that extra degree or getting that extra fellowship, or going ahead and adding a few extra accolades to your name. What is your opinion? Is that extra degree or extra fellowship really worthwhile, or actually stabilizing practice, sticking to practice, learning the skill and doing it the standard way, a more recommended practice? What do you think, sir?
See, when you do once you are in the clinical practice, so what makes you successful in a clinical practice is you are staying there where you are working. So that is a very most important thing for all patients. If you want to have a fellowship, then go to the fellowship and come back and join the practice where you are stable. But in some of the situations, when you get the fellowships or you get fellowships by doing in the practice also, in one of my case at least, so what is happening with me is I was stable in private practice and I was having a lot of loans on my head. So it was a lot of debt. So what has happened is when I am a cancer surgeon and I was doing a medical lecturer in surgery. Then I worked for medical college for at least 7 years. Then I got a fellowship in Switzerland. After coming back, then my professor said I went with the permission of government. My professor said that you are not allowed to join back again. Though I am a MPSC candidate and I was a permanent candidate. So that forced me to come out of the thing and private practice. And then I started looking into my horizons where what should I do, because I have learned so many things and what is not been done. But this fellowships goes on adding in a private practice. So you have to find out the way, but it is very difficult to find out the way out of this. So whatever fellowships you have got, and a gastroenterology is the same thing. When I started my private practice, I was a cancer surgeon, a general surgeon, a laparoscopic surgeon. Then another question which is allotted to me, I cover some of the part in this, is a criticism. So you have to take the criticism in a very, very positive angle. First is do not criticize others, because it's not going to make any difference, because that will downgrade you. But if somebody is criticizing you, you have to take in a so positive way that you make yourself stronger, and that criticism will fall off as the time goes. This thing has happened with me. 2 times, one of my senior colleague here in Aurangabad, one of the gastroenterologists in Aurangabad, has said to me in 1997-98 that you have no right, or tuja dharma nahi hai. So you have no right to touch the endoscope. But I was not inclined to do the gastroenterology practice. But that clinched me that many of the surgeons all over the world, so many surgeons, they are pioneers in endoscopy and all. So I started following that, and I wanted to become now endoscopy. I entered in endoscopy field. Then straightway I went to Dr. Nageshwar Reddy. Then I sat there and I request him to teach me. But because of my clinical practice, the same thing. So it was not possible for me to go there. Then I requested me to come here to Aurangabad. So for 8 to 10 years, he was coming to Aurangabad every 6 months. आपण म्हणतो ना घरी ट्युशन लावायची. Instead of going to there, so I was learning this. Then in between, I went to Peter Cotton, Charleston. I stayed there. I went a training course there. Then I went to John Hopkins. Then I stayed there, again a fellowship course for some time. And then I applied to the all endoscopic fellowships, which all three, ASG, ACG, then AGF, and Japanese, all fellowships, I got it when the time passes, because you have to spend 5 years. And then when the time goes, if you feel that your mind is not having a good ground to play. So what happened in the medical college, that whatever I thought of, what not greeting, means doing an endoscopy in medical college, there was a one situation when there was a light was not available, that bulb. It was requiring 400 rupees. So I just asked my colleague that get this 400 rupees per my pocket and I want to do the endoscopy of this. They said, no, you can't do it, because you need to have 3 quotations, whichever is the cheaper, you get it. And the endoscopy was lying down there for at least 2 weeks. And I could not do it. So then what has happened is some of the people have criticized that you can't learn laparoscopy. You can't do this. And then you have to stay out of the hospital. Then also in I was a registrar in Bhatia Hospital. I was registrar in Tata Memorial and doing a residency in Tata Memorial. So some of the teachers, they have kept me out of the OT, that you are not a part of this scene. So these are the things which you have to take it. And then what happened is I thought that there is somebody is not giving an opportunity or ground. Then you have to create your own opportunity. So what I did is, then I started taking loans of one hospital, Sigma 1, Sigma 2, Sigma 3. So now it is an empire of Sigma group, which has got 350 beds. I have got 100 consultants with me, all super specialists. We have done heart transplant in my institute, kidney transplant, heart transplant, tissue banks, all these facilities, including endoscopy, which every time we transmit from here to the conferences like Massicon. I'm very happy to say now that the Massicon, which is there in Mumbai now on 21st of this month, December, we are transmitting live from United Sigma Hospital to the Massicon in endoscopic procedure. So this you have to rise in such a way that your criticizers should fade away. And it's not a question of fading away. You create, and I am very much thankful to my criticizers or what the people have done, because if they have not done this, I would have not done this. So this is the thing which you should actually do. And the thing is, in a system where Pune, Mumbai and all these things, the second part which I told, that you have to make your own ground, this is very difficult for like people like Pune staying in Mumbai, because you don't have to put so much of money there, and to construct the hospital and all these things is a very, very impossible task there. So you need to have you can say attachment type of a practice, where you have to have very fine digital marketing, very fine everything comes to the picture. As the last sentence which I would like to tell you, that in ancient days, there was a profession called as medicine. Now, there is a thing which is called as health industry. So the profession was linked into a patient's care. But now this health industry is governing all the things above, including us, including patient's care and everything. So this is the scenario which is there, which one should follow. Do not follow the criticism on this one. Create on your own. If you want to create a ground, then think twice. Otherwise, doing a job or doing a private practice and others' place is a much better option, because everyone cannot get away with the debt and the backing which you have got, because I have sustained a debt of almost more than 200 crores, which we are now fading off, and we are in a good shape, and all these things are there. So it is not a joke to have a debt of more than 150 crores and making the EMIs and maintaining all these things. So your half life is gone almost. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to say something after listening to Dr. Takalkar.
Sure, ma'am. Please go ahead.
So I think it also depends completely on your mindset, and you have to know your mindset the best. So, for example, I would never be able to do what Dr. Takalkar has achieved. You need to have entrepreneurial skills.
Yes.
You need to be having the guts to take a loan of 200 crores. I would not take a loan of 10 lakhs also. So, so it all depends on your mindset. I'm happy just treating patients. For me, that's good enough. But
That's
if
right, madam.
you have that kind of skill and inclination, then go for that. There's nothing wrong, but you have to be very clear. If you are
No,
running
but
a
it is a very risky game, madam, because a lot of my friends and all they are not because health industry to get a debt and to get these things and to acknowledge and the ups and downs in the industry and the slack seasons and competitions and referrals and all these things, no, is very tough to have a regular sustainable income.
No, absolutely. And you need that mindset and that kind of,
Yeah.
drive, I would say, to do what you have done. And it is commendable. But I can just say that I won't be able to do something like that. And it depends on your mindset. The one thing I always think about people who own nursing homes, how do they take vacations? How do they close the nursing home and go? I mean, you now have a
No,
big
no.
Only
This is a
Siddesh can
very,
answer
very,
that
I
very
am a
question.
nursing home owner, madam. Me and my
madam,
wife are both
you
diabetics, so we have to
you
go on
cannot.
vacation. It is
Yeah,
both
yeah,
come.
yeah.
Yeah.
You cannot produce your duplication. So
exactly.
that is one. But when you are there, what happens in my place? So I got a one gastroenterologist who is DM with me, who is also from your place, KEM, Vinith Kalekar. You must be knowing.
Of course, yeah.
So he's there. My Umesh Kulkarni is my colleague, who is a surgeon since with me since last 20 years. And hematologist and medical oncologist, all team is there. So what happens, you organize in a such a way that these people see your patients, don't declare in the paper that you are going out. That is one. So we people are very fond of that. I am going out of the India and I will not be available for this date. So don't do that, because people start coming and they, whatever patient they accept, and they will come to you. And these people also 10% loss is there, but you make almost 80% of the practice if you are not there, but you have to sure that you will come back.
That actually also goes well with the question that do we actually join a team or do we actually start working solo just to make that individual identity. So the next question for Abha ma'am. So ma'am, every city generally has a well-established senior clinician in a particular specialty. So how do the young chaps deal with that? Do we see the senior as a competition or as a safety net? I'm sure you have mentored many students now. So do you think there is a loss of individual identity when especially you're working with a mentor or with someone who is very senior?
No, I think it's completely to the contrary. I would think that if you have a senior and a senior whom you can respect and learn from, I would again like to say that just because a person is senior doesn't necessarily mean that, he can be a mentor. But if you have identified people as mentors, I think it's great. And in fact, this is one thing I want to tell the young generation, that nowadays I find young people just out of their degrees, 1 year fellowship here, there, and they are so super confident about everything. But I would say there's always something you have to learn from people who are senior and have years of experience behind them. There's something which, there's so many things which you will not get in your textbooks. And you will have to pick up just by listening to them. There's one thing I always tell my juniors, it's a typical scene where you're going on rounds, you're talking to patients, and then you start talking about things which do not seem to be medical. And then you find your juniors switching off and they start talking and muttering to themselves or looking. Nowadays, it's everybody looking at their mobiles. And I always tell them, that what you're not learning is how to communicate, and that's what you are doing. You're communicating. It's not always medicine you communicate about. There are ways and means you establish a rapport with the patient. So, and these are small things you can pick up from your seniors, from your mentors. How does that person communicate with patients? Why is it that patients are so fond of this particular doctor? There must be something in the way he conducts himself. You know, small points with everybody, every senior. There's so much to learn. You may not learn medicine, but you may learn other communication skills. So there is something to learn from your seniors. And I think the younger generation should be cognizant of that fact and take advantage, keep their eyes, ears open to everything that is being said. There's a lot to learn. So I think it's a positive thing to have a mentor. One should not look at a senior as a competitor. I think if you start off with that,
I think Siddesh and Tarang should also share their journey of their, few years of practice, how they have looked at their mentors and how they have gained by working with their mentor. I think that would be very interesting.
So I think from my side, I think whatever Dr. Abha ma'am said, it was totally relatable. That when I passed my postgraduate exams, I was like, I know it all. I mean, that is what surprise could I get in my clinical practice? And boy, I was so wrong. So I was lucky to be mentored by two really great clinicians. So I feel I agree with that. We cannot look at them as competition. I would say it's more of a safety net. It's more of saying that, while you're young, I mean, and you still do have that period where you can make mistakes. I think having a mentor actually helps us, correcting that, and while understanding what it takes to be a successful consultant, as a matter of fact. I think that is what we need to learn. After a point, I think everyone is skilled enough, everyone is excellent and knows how to practice medicine, but it is right from the soft skills to those hard clinical decision making abilities that actually makes a successful consultant. And that, I think so, is where the mentorship takes place. So my mentor is right here. So I mean, you all heard her speak right now. So yes.
I think I totally agree with you. I think a senior is never seen as competition. Just by looking at the senior also, just by observing the senior also, there's so much that you gain. Just the soft skills or the way they conduct themselves, just body language, basic body language, looking at the way the person dresses, the person talks, I think it gives so much confidence to the younger ones. Secondly, I think I am from a field of obstetrics and gynecology.
I think he's stuck. So
I think that life and death state. Somebody.
Siddesh, we can't hear you.
Siddesh?
Tarang, you can continue.
Yeah. So I feel so I think we can move to the next question. This was a very amazing and a very enlightening discussion. So my next question is for Dr. Ghansham sir. So Dr. Ghansham sir, one issue that all young doctors they face is making patients understand that they are skilled. So how do I get my patients to trust my skill? I think this was a question which was also asked by one of our listeners just before the webinar, that especially for young people, it's very difficult convincing the patient that I'm not a junior doctor anymore. So how do you command respect to a patient without actually sounding arrogant or rude? Ghansham sir? So you're on mute.
Sir, you're on mute.
Hello. Hello. Am I audible now?
Yes,
sir.
I personally feel if you are ready to listen to your patient carefully, patient has to listen to you. If you are not ready to listen to your patient, then it's difficult to convince the patient what you know and what you are going to do for him. like many times it happens, some uneducated patient comes and he talks some common sense or his own ideas, and some people just neglect them. It's wrong. You should listen to the patient. You explain them how you are going to deal with them. You explain them your skills and how they are going to get benefited. That should work. It happens many times if patient asks some their queries, especially newcomers.
Yeah, I think he's breaking.
Lost.
Yeah. So yes, I think I agree with whatever Sir said, and it's at times it's really annoying too. It's like you're just on your rounds right now, and you're like you actually want people to respect you, want people to listen to you, making people understand that I actually have really good intentions. So that at times can be a challenge. So Dr. Siddesh, your take?
Yes, it does sometimes affect. Am I audible clearly now?
Yes, you are. Yes.
So sometimes it does affect you. There are times when patients come and tell you कि आप पक्का operate करने वाले हो कि कोई और आने वाला है. The problem with somebody looking young or somebody looking small is genetic. You can't help it. But then I have stopped dyeing my hair now to make sure that I look a little senior. So this genuinely happens many a times, and then you have to tell them, okay, I am nearing 40 now and I have finished my post graduation more than 12 years back. So this problem, I don't know whether it is necessary to certify what work you have done. I would ask the seniors about this, that do you genuinely project your work in your OPD to say that, okay, you have been working since so many years or you have done so many surgeries? Or as Dr. Ghansham said, that your authority should be in what you speak and patients should automatically relate to what you do. So I'm putting this as an open question to you seniors as to what do you think should be the best way forward?
Yeah, so I would say that I would agree completely with Dr. Ghanshyam that the first thing to develop for a patient to develop faith in you is to be a good listener. And however silly you may think the complaint is, you have to be all serious and listening and not be impatient or being dismissive about what the patient is talking about. And if you listen to him, half the battle is won, because that's when he develops confidence. And the best, what should I say, best result of that is when that patient sends you another patient. I would say the best patient way to get a patient is patients referring patients, and that's most of my practice. So which is by itself telling you that this patient has developed trust, and the new patient who comes to you, uh, he has come through another patient, and there's nothing like a patient recommending a doctor to another patient. So I think I don't think you need to put all your medals up and certificates up. Honestly, I don't do that. But, to impress a patient or to make him seem that you are indeed very scholarly and experienced, I think it's just that you listen to them. A good history is what will give you a good diagnosis and good treatment. And you treat them well. They get better, and that's it. I think that's how the word spreads. That's been my experience.
And just if I can add something, that sometimes it may so happen that despite of your best of efforts, you will get some difficult patient who may not believe or who may just be interested in having somebody who is just senior by years. So I think, and when you're juniors and such incidences happen, you end up having a self-doubt and your confidence gets shaken up. So that should not happen. You should not allow that, patients or relative reaction to self-doubt in you. That is what is my advice to the juniors.
Agree, because I've had patients when I started off who would say, "Doctor, jaldi karo, abhi mujhe wo senior Doctor Desai ko milna hai, abhi mera unka appointment hai." So I would very coolly listen to them, and I said, "Okay, you are welcome to go and take a senior doctor's away. Please come back and let me know what he has said." And but I can just tell you, and these are patients who are taking 4, 5 opinions, been advised a transplant, they want to take opinions. So you say, okay, you go back, but I have only one advice, that please follow up with one doctor only. Otherwise, it is you who is going to be a sufferer. You will be confused which doctor to follow, and you try to do the balancing act. It is not going to happen. It need not be me. It can be any other doctor. But please, I mean, this is about, how patients, especially in bigger cities, I don't know how it happens in the other places, but people tend to do a lot of doctor shopping. And of course, they want to get the, I don't know what it means to be a number one doctor or a number two. Patients talk in that language. I don't know how they figure that out. But anyway, I think the marketing and social media has a lot to do with it. But I said, you can go to whichever number one, number two, but make sure you follow up with one doctor. Because especially in the kind of diseases like cirrhosis, which we deal with, you need to have a follow-up of a patient. It's not a one-off consult and end of the story. He's probably going to be your patient for life. So that's what I tell my patients. And I think some of them come back, some don't, but that's what helps.
Hi. Hello.
Hello, yes, sir.
Yes. This I just wanted to add on this is when you see such type of attitude by the patients and all. So I'm very happy about this. Means why I'm telling you, because what we need to do is we need to figure out how after 5 years I would be presenting to myself, or how after 10 years. So it is like a train, whether you are suppose you are in a single nursing home, or in a hospital, or in a big setup where you're doing. So after 5 years, patients will be there with you. Some patient will go away with you. You cannot have all rights of yours on every patient which comes. So that is one. And second thing is, if that patient is going to some other opinion, as long as you do a rational things, because your mind knows what you are talking to the patient is a rational one, and it will not change whenever he will go anywhere. So, and then that time you don't have to worry, because if your senior is also there and he is doing some different thing which you have told and which that it is a rational, then you don't have to bother, because some time or other that patient will land into a problem, and then again there is a chance that it will come back to you. And this thought, and every time we doctors, what we want is, we want ours 100% everything. So we need to learn that whenever I do a practice, what I figure it out is in financial language also, or in a terms of say of 30% of your practice, which should be based on very high class people, where you can cater everyone in a high class society. 30% is the middle class people, where everything should go, or there is no profit or something, or you can do a balance one. And 20-30% you should serve for the poor, that profit you have to make it from the profit which you take it from a high class people. And 10%, the most important thing is 10 to 5% you need to leave. You need to leave means you don't have to bother, or you need to leave, because we don't have that acceptance in our mind as a doctor, which I feel is every business. Now it is not this has come to a business now. Why? Because we have got a quality, we have got everything, we do trustworthy everything. But what has come, we have seen in the textbook, seen in the newspapers and everywhere in health industry, that quality and everything will produce a very good business or very good numbers, but vice versa is not true. A very good business cannot produce a doctor a good quality. That is one. Second thing is, when you do this business, every business which you are doing is, even if you have a shop and your own employees does something and he breaks something, you don't beat that fellow, or you don't do, because that is a loss to you. But that loss has to be calculated and accepted in 5 to 10% of cases. So these are the patients, money, your criticism, and everything that comes in 10%. And you need to follow your 90%, as long as you are sure about that. And if you are right, you will get it.
I think sticking to the basics is the message
Yeah.
that is coming very strongly. So now, so sir, you rightly said about having numbers and not really focusing on all of those things. So, but now for the young physicians or for the young doctors coming into the market, so I would like to ask Dr. Ghansham sir. So, how would you suggest going in for marketing? Because there is one school of thought that says that you probably meet general practitioners, and there is a lot of unethical ways also that actually the marketing takes place, while a second school of thought which I believe in is setting up a good social media presence, having a good visibility amongst your peers. So what would you suggest would be the right way to go around marketing for young professionals?
Ghansham sir, you are on mute.
Hello. I personally feel our field is not of like requires advertisement or requires any media kind of thing. As Madam rightly said, patient will give you patience. Keep on doing your work honestly. It will revert back with good number of patients to you. I'm practicing since last 20 years. Never met any general practitioner. Never ask any relative or a patient to send patient back to me. It is their choice. If they feel you are giving good services, they have to bring patients to you. That's what I feel in working like small city like Latur.
Okay.
Hello.
Dr. Unmesh sir, Dr. Ava ma'am, any other perspective?
Yes. This is a very important aspect. See, regarding the marketing thing, I have got a different view of looking into it. So everyone sees that if you have a marketing means giving a referrals or meeting the people. That is not to be discussed because that is the last thing which need to be aware of. If you want, you can do it. But I don't think if I do 90% of the things, anything is needed. Firstly, when you come to practice, that what you have done, what you are, what knowledge you have got, it is your right, or it is society is also right to know you what you are doing. So in that context, whatever is you can do, putting an advertise it as a newcomer, or saving information booklets, or doing a social media platform, then whatever publications or whatever you want to do, you can reach out to so many people that I am doing this. Unless you do this, they will not recognize you. And if you meet 100 people, only 10 will recognize and only one will send you patient. So this is basically a number game. So you reach 1 lakh people, then people who know and who are important to you are only 100 or 10,000, 100 or 200. So these are the things which you have to do. Next is infrastructure wise, where you are working. So health industries has been governed by a lot of things, One is insurance. Second is government schemes. And third is the what you can see social media platform and your public domain and what party you belong to and what you are doing. So you have to be impartial to everyone. So you don't have any level of anything, so that you are impartial to. So you are dealing with the human race and not to any other thing. So it is a not any other caste and community wise. That is one. Second thing is you have to have an infrastructure which should give all the people a facility to get into you, which will abolish the marketing. I will tell you, in our setup, we have got 85 TPAs attached with the hospital. We are on state government panel. We are on central government panel. Our hospital is one of the only one private hospital which is listed in Prime Minister Relief Fund. For every patient of heart and cancer, I get 3 lakhs rupees just to send their quotations. So what you need to do is build up your infrastructure in such a way that people have to come to you, because you don't need marketing. If you have a Raksha TPA empaler in your hospital, the Raksha TPA client has to come to you. You need not have to send any message to him. You need not, because other people are doing marketing to you. All this insurance, they have got a booklet, they have got your hospital name there, and you get a good rate out of that, and then market it, and you get the patients. And lastly, when you do all this infrastructure business, you do some of the government scheme which will fix up, which will in such a mix that you also cater some poor people, that poor people will be your ladder to step up. And treating the poor people, it doesn't mean anything. Means I treat poor people, rich people, middle class people. The man made by God is same. So our treatment doesn't change whatever the make of the people and whatever the money class of the people. So that has to be there. That is the thumb rule of everyone. Second thing is, if you get number game, what will happen is your research activity will increase. We have got a research foundation and research activity. I had treated almost, sir has put in my name of 40,000 cases, and that is very old CV that has been sent. So at least if you take a CA breast case, we have operated more than 20,000 cases in 25 years, 20,000, 30,000, maybe more than that. So we have produced publications of this. Most of the people, the patients are in a poor class people, in the, what you can say, MJPJY scheme and all. But these people can be converted into PMJY scheme by getting 3 lakhs rupees. So if you have a number, you have got a mindset to do lot many things. So if you have a marketing, market for yourself, market for a good infrastructure, and lastly, I will not discuss it, to market for giving referrals to the doctors. That is, I think it is a point which somebody does not do, but I don't indulge into that, because patient has to come by force to you. And my team, which is going out of the hospital, is only used for spreading information. That's it.
You made a very, very important point here, that your volume, your infrastructure should stand out for itself, that people should actually reach out to you. Secondly, another important point that you made about insurance is something that we youngsters should keep in mind, that if you are empaneled, then people will hunt for you and get to you.
That's right.
But just in case you do not have that much facility, then I would probably also take into account keeping yourself present on social media, because current generation searches on Instagram, searches on Facebook, searches on Google, what are the reviews, who does what work. They just have a background. Before they enter your clinic, they probably even know for somebody like me.
You have to be there. I'm sure about that. Another most important thing is, if you're not there, then a lot of people, you just don't reach out, you know.
And they probably don't take you seriously also.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That is what.
Can I just pitch in here? So,
yes, ma'am.
No, I completely agree that, people need to know you, and how else will they know you? And for this generation, it is the social media. Just that, don't go overboard in stating your, people exaggerate to another level. They get 1,000 likes and reviews. So, immediately this has been bought, so make it look real. And the best way to be known on social media is to do some good research. As Dr. very lightly said, because you have covered something, it will automatically come on social media or Google.
Definitely.
Even one nice, interesting case, rare case you have seen, worth publishing it. So I think be open to publishing. That's the best advertisement for you, so to say. Put up things which you have seen, your experiences, if you have big numbers and volumes, nothing like it. But even one single case which you think needs to be conveyed to the your specialty and everybody else, just publish it. That's the best way to get on to Google and social media.
Yeah, and when you get the volumes, and when you get the people along with you, you get so many ideas. I will give one example. Recently our anesthetist team and myself and all people are. So we have recently published a study of Indian standards of transesophageal echocardiography in a Indian standard, because transesophageal echocardiography comes in a foreign standard book. For India, what is the standard volumes or standard measurements of the mitral wall and all these things? So it has been published and it has been accepted in the book. Now, in the same fashion, what has happened yesterday only, that US people have sent us artificial intelligence AI-based stethoscope. That stethoscope has got this much of only a chip, and that chip, I am just putting it on the heart. That is connected remotely by Bluetooth to my mobile, and it is giving you the sound and ECG also. So it is very surprising, but that stethoscope is giving you ECG on the mobile, and from that ECG, they are interpreting the ejection fraction of the patient. So this is the lead investigator is our United Sigma, and a lot of hospitals, maybe maybe 2 or 3 very famous hospitals from Mumbai and across the country. We are leading for almost 10 hospitals here. So this type of studies, these are the very important aspect of doing a volume number game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Abha madam, I have a question for you. With regard to people who have been into institute practice, when you get out on your own, there is this feeling of I may not be good enough syndrome, the imposter syndrome. So, ma'am, what is your take on how should a newcomer or somebody who's like been in an institute undercover for long and has probably taken the leap and decided to step out on his or her own? How do they deal with this? I mean, where does the confidence come in from, or what can you do to make sure that chalo, I am good at it?
So I think that's why my first advice to juniors always is that after you finish your degree, don't be in a rush to start practice. Because I think till you start doing things on your own, so either get attached to a government hospital or just be with a person who's in practice and, get attached to that person, follow him up, go for fellowships. Like, for example, when I left KEM, I realized that KEM was not the last word as I would have believed it to be. And I visited 4 top gastro institutes in the country. I went to SGPGI, I went to CMC Vellore, I went to JB Pant. So I went to these places to get a perspective of how they were different and I realized that we were not the last word. There was so much more to learn. So there is a lot to learn. I understand by the time you finish your super specialty, you are married, people are dependent on you financially in the family. So it is a tough call. And the problem is that just when you're setting out and becoming independent is the time when you're also starting a family life. So these two things kind of coincide. And especially for a woman, I would say it's even more challenging, where your career and your family kind of come together. And I think that's where one advice, I know it's not a part of the discussion today, that keep good relationship with your in-laws, with everybody, so that you have people in your family to look after your kids if you are wanting to develop your career. So coming back, one is that confidence will come only if you have worked independently and if you have not just come out of your PG and want to start practice. It will not come. So you will have to give a couple of years working somewhere where you can get that confidence. Also, there is I'm not good enough when it comes to not only confidence, but about how much you earn. You are constantly looking at people who are earning crores, and way above what you earn. And I think that's where I would say to myself, look, are you getting what you want in your life? Are you having a good flat to live in? Do you have a car which is comfortable? Can you give the best education to your child? And if you have ticked the boxes, I think you should be happy. Don't aim for too much, because when you keep looking up at people who tell you on day one that I earn in a day what you earn in a month, it should not put you off. Just be happy with what you do and satisfied with your profession. I know easier said than done, but also look at people below you. There are so many who are earning much less than you. You're still 1%, top 1% of the population in terms of earning. If you have that perspective, you will never feel, अरे वो मुझसे कितना ज़्यादा कमाता है, जो मैं एक महीने में कमाती हूँ वो एक दिन में कमाता है. So, I think that feeling also often comes when you are in practice. So that is the other thing I want to say. And the third thing which I always felt is that I couldn't publish or be academically as much as I would have been if I had been in a government hospital. But I think I've not done too badly, even in private practice, in terms of publishing. So that also is a kind of imposter syndrome, I would say, where you feel that I could have done so much more academics had I been in a big academic government hospital. So these are the three areas where you can feel a little kind of not up to the mark, but I've given you my perspective of how I would take it.
I'm just extrapolating that question to one question further. Imposter syndrome leading to patient ही नहीं है यार वाला जो feel रहता है. There are times when you're sitting in the OPD, and at least for somebody who's established, it's another ballgame. But for somebody who's just into practice, when your family starts looking at you and say, "Aaj kitna patient dekha?" and then you say, "Subah se ek bhi patient nahi dekha," then how to deal with that situation? Or somebody who's really new into practice. I know it will go away with time, but then
yes, it will go away. If you are listening to your patients, it will go away. That's one thing. That's why I said joining a full-time in the beginning is a good idea. It gives you some financial security also, besides giving you the confidence and getting you the numbers and volumes. But I would say that you're going to be busy later. Make the best use of every minute you have, all the novels which you have not read, all that you wanted to do, sit and do it. Don't keep worrying, "Arey, patient nahi aayega," and brooding about it. Make the best use of your time. Keep reading your subject, get updated, use the time fruitfully. Patients will come. That's what I would say.
That is strangely therapeutic. I'm so glad we took this question. Yeah. So we have almost finished all our questions. So from the seniors, so just last take-home messages. What should young consultants have in mind when just at the outset, starting with Dr. Unmesh sir? Quick take-home messages.
Quickly add to our madam's last thought that patients who are not coming, no. So patients, as I agree with her, that patient will definitely come. But only thing you need to do is you have to stick and sit, because what youngers do, and many of the people here do, with my practices also, I'm at home, give me a call when patient comes. This won't work. And this builds an inconfident thing in a persons where you are working also, because it will not work, because when the patient will come, that is one. Second thing is you have to aim in a practice in a such a way that your practice should not be declined at any given moment of time when your competitor comes in a picture. So you have to work in that fashion. So what I analyze myself is, in last, I'm practicing in Aurangabad since 1996. Now it is almost 26-25 years. And when I started, there were only 2-3 oncosurgeons in Aurangabad. Now there are 40 oncosurgeons in Aurangabad. When I started my gastroenterology, there were no DM gastroenterology. And along with me, only Dr. Ramesh Satarkar was there. Now there are almost 10-15 gastroenterologists in Aurangabad. And so both of the practice put together, what I realized is, when I was seeing almost 10, 20, 30 patients, 40, 50 patients in 2001, then it becomes 60, it becomes 70, it becomes 80, 90, 100, 150. Now, in spite of these people coming, I am not able here to say my numbers. But what I mindly do, or what I work for, by getting this insurance, getting these people, getting this marketing, getting this from everywhere. So almost I see 200 OPD patients a day today itself. So what I judge myself is, in spite of having these people around and all oncosurgeons, our practice has become steady. It means it has not gone to 10. So that way you have to work, and then it becomes a steady. And sometimes it happens that slack season and everything, it goes and patient may not come. That you have to sustain with happiness and apna time aayega. what is the theme is.
Dr.
So
Ghanshyam,
that
sir.
is one take-home message. Second is regarding criticism. I told criticism has to be taken in a very positive way. Third important message is respect your seniors as seniors, which you have said, and take it a lot of things from there. And another question was me for starting a practice. You have to make a choice to serve to others or to serve yourself. If that choice is clear in the life, then take a path, but don't deflect it afterwards. But it becomes very difficult. If you want to work in a hospital, go on working in the hospital years together, you will achieve what you want. But if you want to have your own hospital, start as early as possible, then you will get it as when you want it that way. So that is the thing which I wanted to have as a take-home message. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Ghanshyam, sir, last few thoughts.
It reminds me a story of race of rabbit and tortoise. Keep on working like a tortoise. One day will come, you will win the race. It is same there. It is same implemented in our practice. If you are not having work for some days or some years, don't bother. Keep working, win this.
Thank you so much, sir. And finally, Dr. Abha ma'am, final take-home message for your junior consultants.
Yeah. So one, as I said, be observant. Look at the fine details. Give attention to detail. Juniors and everybody now, the mantra is work-life balance. I hear it very often from my own daughter and from my residents. Work-life balance. Your generation did not have that. So if you want a work-life balance, have a team, but choose your team well. Your wavelength and your competence should match. Otherwise, the team will not work. That's my final message. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was
One request for all of you. Thank you for joining me in this wonderful meeting today. I request all of you to give the message for the next meeting also, so we can be a listeners whenever you get into another meeting next time, and be a part of this UMANG and all. So keep on sending the messages. We'd like to interact with you. We'd like to have a good friendship with you. We'll work together, and whatever things we can exchange, so we can do it in a best way for the community and for ourselves. Thank you so much.
Dr. Siddesh, would like to say something?
As a doctor, I would probably say you should follow your heart. Do what you think is right. Don't be pressurized by people. And as they say, karam kar, phal ki chinta mat kar, neki kar, darya mein dal. Keep doing the good work, as all our senior speakers said. You know, karmanyavadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Karte raho, things will follow, and be honest to yourself. And at the end of the day, I think content is what we should be looking at. So if you are contented in your heart, then I think you will have a good, peaceful sleep.
Powerful message there. Yes, I mean, so I feel all medical careers are a success story in themselves. So my take-home messages here is that there is no one right way of getting to the top. You have to be and have to respect your seniors. You consider them as safety nets. Use their experience as much as possible, and as sir rightly said, stick to the basics, because we have a long way to go. Because this is just the beginning. And as the title says, Apna time aayega. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. It has been a great pleasure. Thank you so much, all the senior faculty and team UMANG. This has been a very enriching webinar. And would like to look forward to hosting the same in the future. Thank you so much.